Crazy.
It's gonna be a good show, Mike. We're gonna have a good time.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're out in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
We're going to skip today's music then. Technical difficulties, don't worry about it. This is what we do on this show, Mike. The dang thing just don't want to play, but that's all right. Hey, listen, we're going to continue this show anyway. It would have normally given you this nice little rock jingle, but I'm not going to sing for you guys, so we're going to cut it loose. Anyway, hey, listen, it's good to see everybody here. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. As you can see, Logan's not here. Frankie's taking a sabbatical. I don't know how to spell sabbatical, but whatever it is, he's taking it. And so we got my boy, Mike Hughes from ASAP. God, you have whatever show you could think that ASAP has, Mike Hughes is probably on it or has been on it or is going to be on it. So as you can see, my boy Mike is here. He is a diehard Chicago Bulls fan, Cubs fan, Bears fan. They just fired Nagy. As you can see, he's all happy about that. How you doing, Mike? Say what's up to the people.
I'm doing well, man. Everything's going good. Bulls are still first in the East. We're doing our thing. I know my guy Ron's probably watching the show right now. Ron, still in first place, baby. I don't know what you want to say about it. Philly's not touching us. No one's coming near us. I'm loving every minute of it.
And as you can see, man,
oh, man.
We are going to start off our first topic. I'm just going to get this out the way because there's a couple of things I want to say. Mike, I'm going to get your reaction. Listen, Mike, you're a brawler. You're a brawler, Mike. You know, from that up north area.
I dabble.
Hey, they don't play up. Hey, listen, in the north, they don't play in the north. We don't play in the south either, but they really don't play in the north. They take it to the streets. Yeah. And as you can see, my boy, Juwan Howard here. Listen, Mike. So, and I get it, man. He's upset because Wisconsin Badgers were routing the crap out of Michigan, and you know they had the game was way out of control. There's no way there's a minute left in the game. There's nothing they can do about it, and he want to sit here and start calling timeouts, Mike.
Right.
He want to call timeouts, Mike. Like he want to prolong the game. Like it's almost like he's publicly enticing Juwan Howard to come over here and do what Juwan Howard did to the Maryland coach. And I forget that guy's name, but it was a Maryland coach. I think his name was, I thought I wrote it down, but I didn't write it down. But anyway, he went to the Maryland head coach in the Big Ten tourney last year. And, you know, if you know anything about that, Howard was going over there, and he wasn't going over there to say, hi, how you doing? He was going over there to put hands on him.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they caught him in time, and they said, Juwan, you can't do this, Bubba. Look, man, you can't do this. You cannot do this. I know. Look, you can yell at him. You can yell at him from a distance. You can curse at him. You can do whatever you want to do, but you cannot put hands on him. So let's fast forward. Now we're up here. Juwan Howard is heated. He's heated because he feels embarrassed. He feels like they're trying to embarrass his team, and he ain't having it. So the first thing he does is he goes over and gets confronted by the coach, Greg Gard. And then the assistant coach starts to come over towards them, and I believe his name is Krabbenhoff. He's got a weird name, Krabbenhoff. And Juwan felt like somebody put a hand on him. I don't know if they said they got jerked. It just said he got touched. That's the way they labeled it.
I think you could see it in that picture right there, where he might have been touched. You could see that one hand's kind of
right, and he probably was. Hey, I have no doubt. Maybe I don't know if it was his own player saying, "Hey, coach, you know, hey, come on over here now. You're a little too carried away," or if it was maybe even the head coach saying, "Hey, listen, you can't do this. You can't go crazy." I don't know, but somebody did something that pissed Juwan Howard off.
Right.
And I get it, man. Listen, you can put hands on a kid. You can't put hands on a grown man. I get that. I get that you're going to be really upset because you're already heated. You're just looking for anything to give you the right to explode. And when he put that hand on him, he exploded. And he tried to hit that dude. I don't know if he actually made contact. It said, they couldn't definitively say if it was a punch or a slap, but he did something to Krabenhoff that incited a full-scale riot between staff members and students. Now, one thing I know is this, Mike, and I really want to hear your reaction to what you think about this. But here's what I know, Mike. You're the leader of your team. You're out there to protect your students, not put them in harm's way. You're supposed to be concerned about their safety, their performance, and everything in between. And you're also trying to set the example for how they should conduct themselves on and off the court. You're trying to build character into your players, instill values into your players. And then the first thing you want to do is not once in the Big Ten tourney, but twice you're going to come over here and put hands on the assistant coach. Now, the first time he got stopped. The second time, they just couldn't get to him quick enough before he got to Krabenhoff's face. And and here's the deal, man. If you put hands on him, you're already in the wrong. I don't care, and especially if it's on video.
Right.
If they got video on it, hey, listen, it's a done deal and it's a wrap. Now, listen, Mike, they gave him a 5-game suspension. Okay.
Wow.
Which I think lasts the end of the season. So my questions to you, Mike, are this. Given what we know, I got maybe like 2 questions. Number 1, do you think the suspension was fair? And number 2, or I got 3 questions. Do you think the suspension was fair? What do you think about Juwan Howard? And do you think Juwan Howard will be fired, or do you think he comes back next year and continues where he left off with this Michigan Wolverines team?
Right. The first question, I think it was definitely warranted. I think 5-game suspension is definitely what it should be, because as someone who's a former player, a former athlete, and like you said earlier, Jay, I've dabbled in the mix of things before, to say the least, to not incriminate myself. But it comes down to it that everybody who's ever played with me or ever had any kind of relationship with me understands that in a situation like that, Jay, obviously you're an asshole. Like, if you're the other team and you're calling timeouts, you're being a jerk. That's just the straight up truth of it. And I think that's definitely frustrating. That's definitely something to where as a coach, I'd be frustrated. But here's what a coach has told me before. We were losing out at a baseball game, probably 13-0, and they were still having their starters in the 9th. And we were just trying to go home, bro. Like, we're not trying to do this. You know what I mean? And it comes down to it, though. My coach sat me down and he had a conversation with me. Coach Mack, he said, if you don't want this to happen, do something about it. Put up some runs, make the game competitive. If you don't want to get blown out, do something about it. Make sure that these situations never happen again. So for me, Howard as a player doing this, that's perfectly fine. Always got you, Logan. But it's definitely something to where you look at it, and if it's me doing this, if it's me starting an issue with another player on the court, I think that's one thing. If you're taking timeouts, you're obviously being arrogant, you're obviously being cocky, you're just drawing it out, you're starting problems, and you know what you're doing. As a coach, you have to instill that in your players, that the reason you're feeling this way right now is because of you. Is because you guys didn't perform well. You're getting blown out for this very exact reason, and you deserve to feel that. Now, as a coach, to be able to do that, it truly speaks volumes to how undisciplined this team is, and that's really what it is. If your coach is doing that, it really speaks volumes to what the rest of the roster is going to look like, and that speaks volumes to why you were down. There's no discipline, there's no order in it, and I'm not going to sit here and shit on Howard's entire career. I think he's a very good coach, but exactly this comment right here, Joshua, it wasn't his first time doing this, and that's a problem to me. We've all seen it before. We've seen the videos of him getting into incidents again. But this time is when it truly got physical. Whether he made contact or not, we all know where his hand was intending to go, whether he made contact or not. It's like if you tried to shoot at somebody, well, I didn't hit him. Well, okay, but you still shot at somebody. So it's like that's what it comes down to. Is the end of the day is the intent of what that meant. And I think that is the wrong culture. And Jay, to follow up on your next question, the getting fired thing, I think I'm not going to say he deserves to have his job called for, because I do believe he was fighting for his players and he was just frustrated at the same time. But I think what's going to determine that is in 5 games from now, his attitude towards that, how you see him moving forward, how he's carrying himself. How does he feel about the 5-game suspension? If he hasn't learned anything from this, especially after the last couple previous of encounters that he's had and had punishments before, I think you would have to move on from him, because it's one of those situations where you're not learning from your actions. We've tried suspending you. We've tried to sit down and probably have conversations with him. We can't have that culture here to where it's, if things aren't going our way, we're going to start throwing hands. And so I do think, it all comes down to how he's reacting to this, and if he understands what happened and he's going to try to be better at that, and whether that be anger management classes or what have you, I definitely do think, there's going to be a conversation at the end of the season about it. And I forgot your third question.
My third question is do you think that no, I think you answered them. Yeah, because the third question was you answered it. It was, do you think he'll be fired? And do you think, the 5-game suspension was long enough? And then what did you think about the situation? So you answered all the questions. My last question real quick is this. If Michigan does bring him back, and look, he had a successful season last year. I mean, the guy, correct me if I'm wrong, was he in the top with the Elite 8 or Final 4? Or, I can't remember, but I know his team was good.
They had a good season. They had a very good season, is what I remember.
So my thing about it is he's obviously building a good program at Michigan, even though they got beat. He could have gone to the locker room and said, "Hey, look, let's use this as fire, man. Let's come and put this this ass whooping on him next go around." Right. Obviously, he didn't do that. Do you think that if Michigan brings him back and lets him to keep his job, what is that saying for Michigan? Is that saying that, hey, look, we tolerate violence, so we're gonna let him keep his job, or is it like, hey, look, it could have been worse. He did this, but like, what does it say about Michigan if they bring him back and keep his job? What does that say about their standards and what they require of society, or just anything really? I mean, what does it say for them?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it comes down to it at the end of the day, what he's learned from this. And I kind of reiterated that earlier, but it comes down to, obviously the players are going to love it. The players are going to see it as this guy has our back. And that's great. That's great to know that your coach has your back, but it comes down to the culture that you're instilling. See, the players can take it one of 3 ways. And me, as someone who's played, I would take it one of 3 ways. I might take it 4 ways. I have no idea. It comes down to it, though. I would like to think there are the players that think this guy has our back. We're a tough team and we're going to fight for ours. Or it means, hey, if he can do it, I can do it, and I can get away with whatever. And then there's the third option, to where it's the guys who just don't really feel anything and don't really care about the situation, because a lot of guys don't. But it really comes down to it to where it's whatever the organization sees fit. So you either want it as like Miami. I think Miami is a perfect example. You see Jimmy Butler, you see Bam Adebayo, a bunch of guys fighting for theirs. But the thing is, you never see Eric Spoelstra involved in any of that. And a big part of that is because that's the culture he's instilling. You're supposed to be dogs. You're supposed to fight for each other. But the standard is still set that you are the head coach of this organization and you need to be, acting as such. So I think whatever the organization and Michigan thinks as a whole, I think time will tell very quickly after this 5-game suspension how they're treating that. And I think it's all going to come down to his reaction to the 5-game suspension and how he truly has grown from it, or if he hasn't.
And let's be honest, Mike. Let's just be really honest. Listen, he's not the only coach to ever throw hands.
No, yeah, for sure.
He's not. Hey, look, watch this. I bet you. Hey, watch this. I bet you anything I could tell you about Bob Knight at the Indiana Hoosiers. Right? Hey, how many times do you see Bob Knight throwing chairs? How many times do you hear about Bob Knight putting hands on players? There's a whole freaking segment about that. So, quite honestly, I think he does get his job back. Right. I think he does continue. Because watch this. What does that say for the league if they tolerate a guy like Bob Knight, who had a very long career in in college basketball with the Hoosiers, and I think he may have gone on to somebody else after that. But what does it say if we allow him to do it and then don't allow Juwan Howard to come back? I mean, there's no way they want that smoke. They don't want that smoke.
Without a doubt. I just think, it comes down to why you did it. And I wasn't there personally, and I'm not the world's greatest lip reader, and there's still some things you still don't know what was said. So I don't know exactly what was said to instigate this altercation. You will never really know. You always have the verbatim, unless I truly hear it from both sides and it's the same exact answer. I have no idea what was said. But I do think at the end of the day, Jay, that we're just gonna look at it like that. It really just comes down to what you learned from this. Why did you do it? What was the conversation about? Were you just upset about yourself, or were you upset about the players, or what have you? But I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to him owning up to what he did. If he doesn't feel any remorse about it, or he's not going to say, you're right, I was wrong, then I think they move on from him. But if he understands the situation, I don't think you lose your job over this.
I agree with you, man. I agree. Like I said, man, it's there's been other incidences with other coaches, and I think they have to give him another shot. And I think if it happens again, maybe you take a little bit more closer look at it and figure out from there. But we're going to move on to the create a legitimate award that you would like to see added to any sport. I'm going to give mine, and then Mike Hughes, I know you're a creative genius, and I can't wait to see what award you would come up and what sport you would choose. Me, I'm going with football, and I want the Sports Celebration Swag Award. I want to see some dances, Mike. I want to see the best end zone dance. Who has the best swag?
There's a lot of penalties, Jay McLovin.
Bro, don't worry about that, because there's a thing called a penalty in a minute. What penalty do you want to see done away with? And that's why that penalty that I'm doing away with, and I'm going to tell you in a minute, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's going to support my award. And my award is, I want to see the best. Listen, if I'm paying you money, and Mike, if you go to these football games, you're shelling out some dough. It ain't like baseball. Basketball and football, you pay money if you want a good seat. And when I pay that good money, I want to be freaking-tained.
Right.
I'm tired of the no fun league. I want to be entertained. And whoever can come up with the most creative dance, and let's be honest, there's a lot of really good dances out there. Mm-hmm. That dude's going to get the swag award. I want the Celebration Swag Award in football. That's my award. Mike, what you got?
My thing, it is football, it's hockey, it's lacrosse, it's whatever physical aspect of this game you want to put into it. I think the Enforcer Award would be really dope. I think, you're really starting to see hockey, especially, enforcers are gone. We're not seeing a lot of fights as of late. I mean, the Blackhawks have been, but I mean, that's all they can do. But they're not winning games. So it comes down to it at the end of the day, though. I just miss old school football. I miss the physical aspect. I miss the guys. Mondo, that's my guy from Chi-Town. He's big lover of all Chicago sports. Shout out Mondo. But yeah, it's definitely something basketball, the Isaiah Stewarts of the world, the LeBron Jameses, the guys the Morris brothers, Boogie Cousins. I would love to see an Enforcer Award, just those hard-nosed guys, those Dennis Rodman.
Hell yeah.
Guys. I think it would be dope. And it brings back a lot of fun to the game that, I mean, Jay, you're one of those guys as well. We call them the old heads. They will all day and
matter of fact, right off the top of my head, I'm thinking NBA old school days, and I'm thinking Bill Walton as the enforcer. Remember Bill Walton? Bill Walton was straight up damn near clock you.
Right. You look at the bad boys, you look at Rodman, Isaiah, and all of them. It really would bring back a fun aspect to the game.
Bill Lambier. Remember Bill Lambier? Hey, Bill Lambier had no problems putting a forehead shot on you. No problem whatsoever.
Without a doubt. But I think, and that's not me coming on here and saying, I want people to get hurt. Not at all. But, let's be better here. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm playing peewee soccer sometimes when I'm watching these basketball games. I'm like, come on, I just need a little bit more. Even football, to the point to where I'm like, you're just seeing a guy trying to put in weight and that was a pass interference. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's just a guy falling. Like, that's all it is. So I think the Enforcer Award would be really dope.
I think so too. I like that. I still like my swag award, but the Enforcer Award,
no doubt. The swag award, that's what's up. But
they're both pretty dope, and I want to see more physicality in basketball. Anyway, I think it's soft. I think it's as soft as Charmin. It's about as soft as a Pro Bowl, to be honest with you.
I don't think anything gets softer than the Pro Bowl.
I know that Pro Bowl was freaking ridiculous. Man, I know what was worse. What was worse though, the Pro Bowl or the freaking NBA dunk contest? Honestly.
Listen, your guy Jalen really upset me, but we can get.
Oh Lord Jesus! Hey, listen, that's why when Jim Cross sit there on Facebook, and I love Jim Cross. Jim Cross, I love Jim Cross. But when Jim Cross says that I'm a Mavericks fan, he don't understand the pain that a Rockets fan has gone through. And I've gone through a lot of pain, Mike. A lot of pain.
I know.
Can you tell? Look at this face. This is 50 years worth of Houston Rockets pain.
You know the Bulls always got a spot for you, Jay.
Bro.
Always got a spot for you.
You just don't know the pain. But hey, we're gonna move on before I start crying and having flashbacks to when me and my dad were yawning and dad broke the TV and mom's like, look what you did now. So yeah, hey, listen, them pains are real. All right, should Steelers go to should the Steelers go after wins? Hey, that's a good question. And we're gonna talk about that. Is Mason Rudolph the answer for the Steelers at quarterback? Now listen, here's the deal.
No.
They have said, quote unquote, and the former GM came out and said basically, hey, look, I support Mason Rudolph. I support everything this kid is doing. And as the outgoing GM, notice I said the outgoing GM. Right. The outgoing GM says that he supports everything Mason Rudolph. And he says that they have brought in quarterback coaches, to do nothing but basically develop him. So much so, look, he's gone 5-4-1 as a starter. Matt Canada was the quarterback coach I was talking about that was brought in to develop this guy specifically. And then when he left, or he got promoted to offensive coordinator, they brought in Mike Sullivan to continue to develop Mason Rudolph. He's in year 5 right now with the Steelers. There's 2 quarterback spots, and there's 4 competitors vying for those 2 spots. I look at his stats. He doesn't have a lot of stats to show, but his stats are simply this. 2019, he threw for 1,765 yards, 13 touchdowns, 9 picks, with an 82 rating. Right. In 2020, he played 1 game, threw for 324, 2 touchdowns, a pick, with an 87 rating. So for what little we've seen of Mason Rudolph, and hopefully that kit that Gilbert put on to him with the helmet thing Miles Garrett put on him with that helmet thing didn't really jar him up too bad then.
I think it did.
Because Miles Garrett put it on him, man. Yeah, hey, look,
you messed him up.
Hey, so what do we do, man? Do we ride the Mason Rudolph and thinking that he's going and give him a shot and see what he can do? Or do we do like what John Suggs is saying, and do we bring in a Carson Wentz, or do we try to go to another free agent, like possibly, I guess, a Russell Wilson if he comes available, even though I don't think so? Or do we go after Deshaun Watson, because we know the Steelers' defensive coordinator is a Deshaun Watson fanatic? Right. What do we do, Mike?
I think, you can look at it from a bunch of different ways. But one of those ways is not Mason Rudolph. I've watched a lot of Mason Rudolph. Justin Barley Chache, one of my best friends in Chicago right now. He is one of the biggest Pittsburgh Steelers fans in the world. He was on the Mason train, ironically, John, at the same time that I was on the Mitchell Trubisky train. But
I was about to say, Mike, that's Mike's dude.
That's my guy. I love Money Mitch. We kind of look alike. I got to own that. We wear the same jersey number. That's my guy. He'll always be my guy. But here's the thing. He's not better than Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky has a Pro Bowl. Mitchell Trubisky led a team to 12-4, 8-8, and 8-8. Mason Rudolph got WWE chair smacked by Myles Garrett and never returned again. Like that's the reality of the situation. And I'm not going to get into why that happened or the racial comments that may or may not have been said, because that's neither here nor there. It's way in the past. I think everyone's learned from it. And it's water under the bridge. And I'm not going to hold that to him. But I will say, based off of his game, watching this guy play, he's not it. He's not it at all. He can't make reads. He can't read a defense. He can't make the simple throws that you would need. And you look at this team, to have Najee Harris, Juju Smith-Schuster, you have, Claypool, you have Johnson, you have a bunch of Ebron and that great rookie tight end. I always forget his name. But he's a dog. Me too. Well. Yeah, the kid's a dog, but it comes down to it at the end of the day to where he's not hitting those guys. And here's the thing about Mitch Trubisky is going to be a free agent at the end of the year as well. I would take Mitchell Trubisky right now over Mason Rudolph if I had to, after he worked with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. But I think, like you said, there's bigger fish to be fried. I think there's going to be guys out there like Jameis Winston, 5,000 yards over 30 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's the situation. Now, here's the thing, Jay. He's there strictly for Sean Payton. Sean Payton's gone. So, and they can't afford to bring him back on a good deal. So I would say, if I'm them, I invest in someone like that. And we saw already, Jay, here's what did it for me. When you bring in and trade for Dwayne Haskins, that speaks volumes to how you feel about Mason Rudolph. You don't do that if you have a guy already.
I agree.
You
Yeah,
just don't.
I agree.
So I think Deshaun is Deshaun's the clear-cut favorite to me. I think Deshaun Watson and the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think there's a lot of great things going on over there. Now you have Brian Flores there who loves him, like you said. You have Mike Tomlin, a lot of black excellence there. And I preach that all the time because that's something Deshaun Watson truly does believe in and he's advocated for. And you have a guy like Brian Flores who's advocating for all, not only black men and women, but just for, people of minorities and different colors and genders as well. Mike Tomlin, who preaches that as well with the Rudy rule. And that's a conversation for a different day. But it comes down to where that's somewhere where Deshaun would be beloved. That's somewhere where Deshaun would be able to be himself and be believed truly, because I don't know what happened with Deshaun Watson, but the Texans off rip were like, nah, he did it. And you know what I mean, Jay? It was like they threw him under the bus. There was no support. And I understand it to an extent, because if it is true, you don't want to tie that in your name. But it comes down to it at the end of the day to me, to where I think Deshaun Watson would be the perfect fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. And especially with that defense. As a Bears fan, let me tell you, it doesn't last long. Guys age very quickly. Primes end very quickly. Guys get hurt. You have to use this to your advantage right now. TJ Watson is prime. You still got Juju and company. Najee going into year 2. I think Deshaun Watson's your best bet. If you can't get him, Russell and Aaron, like you said, I doubt they become free agents as much as they'd love to. And I think they're going to be asking for way too much to get them. So I would say Watson's tier 1, and then tier 2 is Garoppolo, Winston, guys like that. And then tier 3 is probably Dalton, Trubisky, guys like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I think with Winston, I think New Orleans is going to try to keep him, but I don't think they obviously don't have the cap. So whatever deal they give him, I think, well, personally, what I think is if Dennis Allen goes in there and basically clears house and keeps Winston, Kamara, and Thomas, then he could give him the contract that he needs, and they can rebuild around him.
Right.
But if they're not in rebuild mode, then they're going to have to give him probably just a regular contract. Right. And that means that Pittsburgh's going to have to come out the rank. And what do you give if they do go with Winston, what do you give as a contract that you think he would accept? But and you got to be careful how much he spent, because the guy's only got about half a season with the Saints that we really saw what he could do. Right. And now he got hurt. So how much money do you invest on a half-season guy who got hurt, and you're taking all this on? I mean, how much do you think they really come out and give him in terms of what we consider to be a good contract?
Yeah, if I'm Pittsburgh, I would look at it, and this might be a reach for some people. I think a 1-year prove-it deal is a little bit it's not comfortable for Jameis. I think he's at a point right now to where he'd want more, especially after ACL tear. So I would be comfortable $15 million per year. You do a 2-year deal, $30 million guaranteed, or not guaranteed. Who gives a shit, really? But it comes down to it to where I think a 2-year, $30 million deal, 15 per year. You got guys. Obviously, Jay, top tier guys are getting 25 to 30. So I think 15 a year for someone like Jameis on a prove it deal for only 2 years, and maybe it's a player option for the second year if he really balls out. I think that's pretty great. I think that's something that's pretty legitimate. So I think that would be pretty good for Jameis right now.
No, I definitely agree with you. Moving on to the next topic, penalties. What penalty, Mike, in football would you want to see eliminated? I'll give you mine, and then let's see what you got. I got 2, man. I'm tied for 2, and they almost are kind of correlated. Number 1, I would get rid of the excessive end zoning, or whatever. What's it called when they do that? What's the penalty called?
Celebration. Something.
Yeah, I would get rid of that one, and then I would get rid of taunting, because they almost are kind of like the same thing. Because when you're taunting, you're almost celebrating what the hit you just put on that dude, right, or the touchdown you just scored. So I mean, honestly, I would get rid of both of those, almost because there's almost like one plays into the other, which really plays into my swag award. So I'm getting rid of this penalty for that reason. Because like I said, I'm tired of the no fun league. I want to see entertainment, Mike.
Right. Yeah, no, that definitely, that second one was mine. That it's definitely something to where I feel like taunting, especially for myself when I played safety, even center field, whether I was stealing a bag, laying a kid out, getting an interception, whatever it may be. I was always having a blast. I'd always be talking that ish, and it was so much fun. It was always it's great. It's great because here's my thing, Jay, and it ties into the Howard stuff at Michigan. If you don't like it, do something about it. That's just truly how I look at it. If you don't like my celebrations, if you don't like me going to your sideline and flipping off the entire team after my game-winning interception, throw a better ball. Be better. Do something better. I think you look at it at the end of the day, taunting is killing me. Cassius, from the Bears, he looks in the direction of the Steelers sideline, and we lose the game because of it. And truly, I'm not Jay. I own my L's. I don't make excuses. But that right there, it was the end of the game. We were winning. It was 4th down. That was it. Bears won. At the end of the day, though, now it's 1st down. They get 15 yards because my guy looked to his right. That's ridiculous to me. That's ridiculous to me. So taunting to me is something to where I don't even understand it because I don't even remember there being a problem to the point to where it's like, and you know what it reminds me of, Jay? Answer me this. It ties into the dunk contest. Oh, well, guys don't want to do the dunk contest because they don't want to get hurt. Name one time someone got hurt during the dunk contest. Name one time taunting turned into an all-cleared brawl in recent years. It doesn't.
It doesn't really do it. It doesn't.
Now,
I will tell you, Mike, if you're standing directly over the guy that you just hit, you may get a defensive lineman or offensive lineman, depending on who you hit.
Without a doubt.
And they may give you a shove or something.
Right, and that's warranted. But what I'm trying to understand is like, what's the issue here? You know what I mean? Like, why are you not okay with this? Now, obviously, if the N-word or racial slur or something from that degree is being thrown out, that's a conversation for a different day. That's a conversation of, it being more than just taunting. That is a racial slur, or a homophobic remark, whatever it may be. That's not acceptable. But to look in someone's direction and smile, and now it's 15 yards and 1st down when it was 4th and 10, that's ridiculous to me, Jay.
No, I get it. And to answer John Suggs' question, first I'm gonna go back to his original question. Do the Steelers go after Cousins? I mean, they could, but I think Deshaun Watson is more of the clear-cut favorite just because, like we said, he's Brian Flores' guy, and he what he can do on the field is crazy. To go to the second question, I like the way the penalties are right now. For pass interference, you put it at the spot of the foul. I mean, I like that kind of stuff. So I don't know if I would change the yardage, but I will tell you this, Mike. There's a guy, you probably heard of him, called Roy Williams, came out of Oklahoma Sooners and got drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. And if you remember this rule, there wasn't a rule until he came into the league, and then they made it a rule. When Roy Williams first came to the Cowboys, and he was actually, I believe, doing it even at Oklahoma prior to the horse collar. Tackle.
Right.
He invented the horse. That's all Roy Williams. They made that call specifically for Roy Williams because that's how he took you down. He grabbed behind the back and he jerk your ass back, and that's, hey, you're done. I'm getting rid of the horse. I'm getting rid of the horse. Hey, look, horse collar him, rope him, tie him up. I don't care. Right. Just get the guy.
I think it comes down to it to a degree to where it's like I even noticed it. Guys are holding shirts now, and it's becoming a regular thing. Horse collar, I think it is a safety issue with the neck, and I fully understand that. You just got to be careful, man. You just got to be careful what you're doing because you don't want these guys to get too banged up,
I know, man, Mike, and that's really the thing, right? I mean, and it kind of goes back to the NBA, like what we were talking about with the enforcer. It kind of goes back to even like that. Yeah. I feel like football used to be a rough man's game. It just, you went out there and, man, it was a brawl. It was an all-out melee.
Right.
And now we've gone to the opposite 180-degree extreme of, man, you can't even blow on the quarterback nowadays. Blow on him if you want to. Blow on him if you want to. It'll be unsportsmanlike conduct, bad breath penalty, or possible COVID penalty. I don't know.
For sure. And it definitely makes sense. And like that's what I always preach. I'm never gonna go out there and tell you, hey, I need you to hurt somebody. But I'm gonna go out there and hurt somebody. You know what I mean? I'm not asking.
Right. I'm not paying you to hurt somebody. I just want to see some good physical football.
Right. Like, do your job. If you're the strong safety, I expect you to play like one. If you're the middle linebacker, I expect you to play like one. It comes with the territory. I'm not asking you to go out there and tear this kid's ACL. I'm asking you to go out there and make sure that he feels your presence so that this offense knows he's out there and you're doing your job. I'm not asking you to stand there and play 2-hand tag in the Pro Bowl.
You know, I had my notes on this topic, and I don't know what I did with it. But basically, this gentleman here, he's got no legs, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, and he has won a state championship in wrestling.
Right.
I can't even win a wrestling match with my wife, and I've got to use up both of my legs, Mike. And this guy's out here going head to head. And I believe his last name is Lattimore. I want to say it's Adonis Lattimore. And he's going out here and he's just taking dudes down. And he ain't got no legs.
Right.
He actually got, I believe, I want to say it was a semifinals or quarterfinals in his freshman year. And then he wins the state championship in his senior year. And the years in between were canceled because of COVID. Can you believe this, Mike? I mean, you're a sports guy. I mean, what do you make about this?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of guys do a lot of amazing things. I once seen a catcher with, and I hate using the word disability, but it's for lack of a better word, or a handicap. They hate those titles because they are purebred athletes. He was a catcher. He had one arm. And he caught amazingly. He caught with the same arm he threw, and he'd throw you out from a mile away if you tried stealing on him. I've seen basketball players. There's one right now who in college basketball doing amazing things, or high school or college. I forget exactly where. But they're doing amazing things. So I'll give this kid. I'm unaware of his name, so I don't know. But
it's Adonis Lattimore. I just confirmed.
Adonis Lattimore. Okay.
Yeah, Adonis Lattimore.
Yeah, I mean, what a stud. I mean, the kid's huge. The kid's bigger than me, and I can walk to the gym if I wanted to. It's just a couple blocks. This kid is doing something amazing right now, and I have to give him all the credit in the world. That's amazing. And it's to congratulate him on everything he's accomplished so far, because there's people with 2 legs, 2 arms, and 20/20 vision that probably can't do a lick of what this kid's doing. So, I mean, that's amazing. That made me feel good.
And the thing is, so he's out of Virginia High School. Mm-hmm. He's out of Virginia High School, and actually, the name of his school is Lansdowne High School. So for all those students out there at Lansdowne High School,
that's a high schooler.
Yeah, he's a senior right now. This is his senior year. Hey, so for those dudes out there at Lansdowne High School, if you see Adonis in the hallways, you tell them that Jay McLovin and Mike Hughes said, "That's what's up."
That kid. I need that kid tested like now. That kid is huge.
Bro, he's 32. Hey, and would you believe? Hey, if I told you his record is 32-7. Oh, that's his record, 32-7.
What a stud! That kid's like bred in a gym. He's huge.
I forgot but yeah. What about the kid with one arm who dominated high school? Penny Hardaway I didn't see that. I don't know, the one arm guy who dominated high school.
Yeah, man. It's becoming not a trend, but you're starting to see a lot of these kids get opportunities now. Like when I was a kid, Jay, I wore glasses. I didn't even get an opportunity to play in my middle school because the coach said, "Oh, no, I'm not taking any kids with glasses." Now you're starting to see, these kids. And I hate saying it because he clearly is not a handicap and he does not have a disability, because look at him. He'll kick anybody's ass. He does his thing. So I don't want to, title him as that, because I know a lot of people don't like that word. But whatever you want to call it, obviously, the cards weren't set for him to be a pro wrestler. The cards weren't set for him to be able to do what he's doing right now. And he's not only doing that, but he's expanding upon expectations and he's killing it. So I mean, it's just hats off to everybody, honestly, because that's amazing.
And I remember, and I don't know if he's still in the league. I know he was with there was the 2 brothers with the Seattle Seahawks.
About Griffin.
Yes,
he had one hand. Yeah.
How do you? I mean, that's amazing. How do you make it as a linebacker? You're a linebacker. Right. You really need both your arms. And he's doing it with one arm at the highest freaking level. Yeah. I mean, that blows my mind, man.
Yeah. I think he, if I'm not mistaken, he's going to be a free agent. But I expect him to get a contract. The guy's a stud. I
tell you, man, you're a stud when you can make it to the NFL with one arm. I'm sorry, a linebacker with one arm. Okay, I can see a running back, because a running back, he can do that with one arm. But a guy whose requirement is to tackle you. You really need both hands, especially when they're going full speed.
Right.
To do that with one arm it blows my mind, Mike. It really, honestly,
For sure.
blows my mind. Let's talk about this. The slam dunk contest, Mike.
Oh my God.
It used to be, Mike. It used to be a high-flying, gravity-defying Dominique Wilkins, Clyde Drexler, Michael Jordan, Vince Carter, one-handed in the rim type of contest. Now we got this. This year was more. There was more missed dunks than there were made dunks, to the point of, I believe it was 37. I believe it was missed dunks. Toscano Anderson.
30 of those were from your boy, Jay.
Hey, I know. I told you. Hey, listen. I know. Hey, I know, man. Hey, and I don't take no pride in that.
I was watching it. I was like, Jay. I thought of you. I went, Jay McLovin is somewhere right now, just turning off the TV.
Bro, you just don't know, man. I remember, we've had a guy in the dunk contest before, and that was Steve Francis. And Steve Francis actually did pretty well. As a matter of fact, the guy that was helping him from the Rockets was Catino Mobley. He was throwing him the ball, and he was catching it and dunking it. And they were a pretty good tandem. And then we get Jalen Green. And I like Jalen Green as a player. Hey, he's doing great. But as a damn slam dunk contest, hell nah.
Right.
And then you get a guy like Toscano Anderson in the final round. And this man can't land a dunk. I don't care. 6, 7 times. He can't land a dunk. And you know what's bad, Mike? You know it's bad. This is when you know the dunk contest is really and truly bad. Is when all you got to do, if you're Obi Toppin,
just make it.
Is just put a simple dunk in. Nothing crazy. Don't go behind the back. Don't go between the legs. Just dunk it. And you win.
Right.
Now, obviously, nobody wants to see that. That's not what we're here to see. Right. But when it comes down to all you gotta do is make a dunk and you win, to me, Mike, you know what? Here's how I'm gonna revamp it. And then, Mike, I'm gonna get your thoughts. This is how I would revamp it. I would do one of two things. The first thing I would do is I would put a $5 million hit. So if you win the dunk contest, you get $5 million. I would, or $2 million or $1 million, but if you make them about, look, these guys are multi-billionaire people. Make it enough to where you get their interest. And then you'll see more competitive dunking and probably better players dunking. Or number two, you do this, Mike. You have an audition. You say, listen, if you're going to go out there and put on a dunk contest, the NBA needs to put out a better product. And how do I know we're going to put out a good product if I don't know the product that's being put out? So we're not going to judge you. There's no judging in this audition. All the audition is to actually make sure that you can land your dunks. We'll judge you in the competition. I just want to see you perform the dunks so that I know you can make the dunk. And then and let me tell you something. In the audition is not the actual judges. That's not who we're asking. We're asking probably somebody from the NBA office to come down and just watch them and say, hey, look, Joe Schmo, all I want you to do is make sure these guys actually make the dunk and don't miss it. And then whoever makes the dunks and doesn't miss, those are the names I want you to submit, and that's going to be the dunk contest, and we're going to go from there. Because the product you put out this year was so stinking bad that you almost need to have auditions. That's how bad it was. Mike?
Yeah. I think, the way I look at it, what should happen, I think it's a player's vote. I think the players should vote who's on the team of the 4 or the 5, whoever many it's going to be. And here's how you could do it so you don't get Toscano Andersons. And that is by no shot, I heard a lot talking about, oh, it's his ethnicity and this and this. I don't give a shit. What if you're white, brown, whatever you may be, blue in the face, I don't care. It has nothing to do with anything. And shout out to Toscano for actually being the first Hispanic descent player in the dunk contest. So
absolutely, that is a major shout out.
His shoes were insane. Representing the flag and everything. I loved every minute of that. Unfortunately, I don't judge you based off of you breaking history or you doing that or your shoe game. I judge it based off of the dunks. And Toscano Anderson, to me, didn't deserve to be in the dunk contest. But I'm going to be honest, Jay, none of these guys did. Obi Toppin didn't.
Well, I agree. I agree.
When I look at the dunkers in the NBA versus the dunkers in the dunk contest, I go, it's not just Toscano. It's the entire list.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Belong there. So I would say this. What you do is you put every single player on a list and you have every team put their top 4, top 5 guys. and whoever they have that gets the most votes, and you can even put it like this, Jay, you cannot vote for a guy on your team. That way there's no bias. You don't have 20 votes for Obi Toppin, 20 votes that for all from one team. You have to vote for a guy that's not in the league. I think revamping it, you have Zion Williamson, you have Ja Morant, you have Anthony Edwards, Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon, you have Skywalkers in this league. I mean, hell, we got a guy, Derrick Jones Jr. on the Bulls, who's more fun and more explosive than any of these guys. And I think, you know, you really look at it. I mean, hell, there's an ongoing joke right now in Chicago that the Bulls warm-ups is a better dunk contest than the entire dunk contest.
Oh, I agree.
That's just,
I agree.
You got Lonzo, you got all these guys going out there, LaVine and Jones and all of them, they're doing their thing. So, Jay, I think it has to be a player's vote. Because I heard Zach LaVine was interested in doing it, but nobody asked him if he wanted to do it. Who's in charge of that? Why? I understand Zach LaVine has said no the last 3 years, but if that's my job once a year to ask you if you want to do something, I'm going to ask you. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the reality of the situation. I think you need to be able to do that. And I think, like you said, guaranteed money to the award, I think would be dope. I think $5-10 million is enough. I wouldn't go surpass that. It's just a dunk contest, but the NBA has it to spare. And, you know, I don't think Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon effed it up for everybody, because I don't think we're ever going to see a better dunk contest than that in my life. When Zach was a T-Wolf and Aaron Gordon was doing his thing. But, you know, we definitely, in my eyes, can get close to it with Zion, Ja, LaVine, Gordon, Anthony Edwards, and so many others.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a dunk contest.
Right. Those are some dogs. And say what you want about Zion, but I'd love to see him break a board. You know what I mean? I'd love to see him do something creative. Like, it would just be fun. But instead, you know, I got Cole. I knew, I'm going to say this being real, I knew it was going to be a shitty dunk contest when I saw Cole Anthony break dancing before his first dunk in Tim's.
Yeah.
I said, you know, it's cool. It was dope that you did it in Tim's and you represented New York, and that's their big staple thing is Tim's and shit like that. And that's fine. But I was just like, why are you spent 5 minutes break dancing and another 5 minutes putting on your shoes?
Yeah.
Hurry up. And then I got Jalen Green over here taking 30 minutes just to make a dunk. Then I get to the last round and Toscado can't even hit the rim. I'm like, dude, Obi Toppin finishes it off by just putting it in there. And I was just like, dude, like, well, Shaquille O'Neal's face said it all.
Yeah. Oh, it did. Oh, and so did Kenny Smith. Dude, when the judges are laughing, when the judges themselves, when Kenny Jet Smith is the judge and he is laughing at the contest, that's when you know it's bad. It's just so bad.
But again, I do want to say, though, because I've heard this narrative going around about Toscado and being the first, you know, minority to be able to do this. And that had nothing to do with anything I was talking about. I just truly do feel his performance as a whole just wasn't good. But I do congratulate him for that, because it is a great accomplishment. And I was honestly shocked. I didn't know that was a fact, and that, you know, someone of Hispanic descent hadn't been in the dunk contest before. So that was the dopest shit, I think, of the whole entire dunk contest.
I agree. And let me tell you something. Jalen Green's dunks or attempted dunks reminded me of the Rockets rebuild. It's almost like he's in the rebuild process to learn how to dunk all over again. Like, I don't know what you got to do. Is there a step-by-step instruction manual? I don't know. But he needs to go find that manual and learn how to dunk all over again.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's definitely a fact.
All right, Mike, we're going to transition into a little college basketball right now. The rankings just came out, and, Auburn was at number 1 there for a while. Yeah. And then I think reality kind of came in, and now we got Gonzaga out of the West, at the number 1 spot. We got Auburn out of the SEC at the number 2 spot. And then we got Arizona out of the Pac-12 at number 3. And then I'm looking at this list. Baylor's down there like at number 7. And of course, if you know last year, I believe it was last year, correct me if I'm wrong, but last year Baylor is the one that won the contest.
Yeah. And
right now they're at number 7. And then we got Duke out of the Atlantic Coast at number 9. And let me tell you something about Duke. If you saw that North Carolina game, Duke ain't playing around.
No.
Duke's for real, man. Hey, look, this is Coach K's last year, and they're not playing around. So, having said that, I look at the rest of it, and you got Houston. Houston was in the Final Four. Am I right?
Right. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And remember my boys. Got to remember my boys Loyola out there. They're doing their thing.
Hey, but now they're sitting at 14. Houston's sitting at 14.
Right.
And I don't, and Houston's, they're obviously the leaders of the AAC. Kansas is sitting at number 6, the Big 12 leader, and Purdue, the Big 10 leader, is sitting right now at about 5. And then, of course, you got Providence, the Big East, sitting at 8. So given this list, and I think Texas, I really expected Texas to be better than 25. I thought Texas would be a little higher, but they're not. They're sitting right now at number 20. What do you think about this lineup, and where do you see, before we get to March Madness, how do you see it stacking up in terms of who's going to be the overall number 1 team or what have you?
I think it's very different. I think it's very different for me because just because you end up being the number 1 overall team, that may not necessarily mean that I'm going to be voting for you to win it all. Because that's the reality of the situation. I think if Duke sneaks in and they get into the, to March Madness, which obviously I'm positive they will, it comes down to it to where I think it's any man's game, especially for Coach K being his final year. I'm still very upset, Jay. I know you probably are as well, that we never got to see Zion, RJ Barrett, and Reddish get to do their final dance because Zion obviously went down getting injured. Go figure. But it comes down to it, though, to where I do think, like John Suggs said right here, Duke has had a pretty, bad go for the losses that they've had. So I do love Gonzaga. I love Gonzaga for a lot of reasons. They're the same logo as my middle school was. I feel like everybody's had the Gonzaga logo at one point or another in their childhood. But it comes down to it, though, to where I just watch them play team ball. They understand what they're doing. There's no real ego on the team. I felt like Baylor last year was very top heavy. And the thing about Baylor was, they put up the numbers. But I feel like Gonzaga's gotten a lot of depth, and I think that we can continue to see them flourish through that. So I would say at the end of the day, and I know this is, the basic answer because they are currently at number 1, but I think Gonzaga's there, and I think they're there to stay.
Let me ask you a question. I want to kind of go back for a second.
Yeah.
I want to go back for a second because this is a good question. I want to get your input on this because we were talking about this on another show. Who is better right now, Giannis or Embiid? And they were saying, obviously, both guys are kind of generational players. In my mind, I understand where Giannis is at. And Giannis, he's a great player, and he has a championship ring and this, that, and the other. But I feel like and I don't know if it's just, the way Embiid is playing this year, but I just feel like Embiid is a little bit better. I think he has a little bit better shot. I think he has a little bit better their inside game. Both of them are dominant. But I just think Embiid is a little bit better shooter than Giannis is. And that's why I kind of tend to give Embiid the edge over Giannis. Who do you think right now is playing better?
Giannis. Playing better, I would say Joel's obviously on a tear. But the better player is Giannis, hands down. Multiple defensive player of the years, multiple MVPs, a finals MVP, a championship. Let's not sit here and pretend like, Joel Embiid's had a rough go. I mean, he's had Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, Al Horford, JJ Redick, Doc Rivers, so on and so forth. He's had good squads. Now he has James Harden. So here's my biggest thing about Giannis, though. Giannis is available, and the best ability is availability. And the thing about Joel, which a lot of people forget, it's kind of a living in the moment kind of situation. Jay, I know you're not one of those guys that live in the moment. You keep it very real. So I'm not saying that, but it comes down to it, though. I feel like we're always having this conversation at the first half of every season. We always say, wow, Joel Embiid's having an MVP season. He's doing amazing. He's been great. This has been for 2-3 years now, I feel like. And then the second half, his body gives out on him, and he's not available, and he's hurt, and he gets banged up, and then he's out for the rest of the year. And that's where I truly, differential the two, is to where Giannis is always available. The man has a hyper knee extension in the Eastern Conference Finals and says, F it, I'm going to go piece the Suns in the finals and win finals MVP. That guy is always available. He's always there. Whereas with Joel, it's either a health issue or, he had the stomach bug, and that I can't hold him for that. I've had the stomach bug. Jay, I'm sure you have as well. It's a demon. It's a beast. So I'm not going to hold him for that. And he played through it. So I'll give him all of his flowers in the world for that against Toronto. But the health part of it is like, I just have never seen him finish a season healthy, and he is on a tear. So he's playing a better season. And that's definitely a fact where John Suggs is saying that he had, before the All-Star break, Embiid was better than Giannis in their last meeting. And that's fine. But I just feel like at the end of the day, Giannis has a better defense. He has a better shot. He's kind of doing his thing. Whereas Joel, now that you start to see James being there, I think, Jay, to your point, I kind of want to ask you, don't you think a big part of why he's having such a great season is because he's the number one option and he's the only one that has to get fed? Now you have James. You got to share that. How are you going to be able to do that?
Hey, they got James Harden, but let's be honest. He's an out-of-shape Harden, and he's got injuries with his quads, his hand. I don't know. The boy's got injuries all over.
They both do.
I know. But here's the thing with Embiid. And I think if you look at the whole career, I'm going to give it to Giannis. I'm going to be fair. I don't want to cheat Giannis out of what he deserves. I think if you look at the entire career, I'm going to give it to Giannis. I just have to. But if I look at the single season, I really think that I think Joel Embiid has really stepped his game up.
Mm-hmm.
He's averaging like 35, 36 points a game. He's really, he's shooting the ball for a big man. He's shooting the ball extremely well. And for me, I got to be honest with you. I'm still going to give the edge slightly to Giannis, but it's not by much. I'll be honest with you.
And that's my thing right now, though, Jay, is to where, like, when I look at Giannis, he's quietly putting up great numbers, but he's sharing the ball with Middleton, Brooks.
But I'm going to tell you, Mike. Listen, Giannis can score. Giannis can score. And he does play good defense. I'm not taking that away from him. But I think when you look at the overall game, whose overall game has gotten better, I really think that Embiid's overall game, the way he shoots the ball, he can shoot the ball from further away than what Giannis can do. And I think that's a huge factor. Right. When we're looking at whose skill sets are better, you got to put that into perspective. But like I said, the knock on Embiid is he is injury prone, more so than Giannis is, and that's still kind of the knock. So I do think that Giannis is better right now. Right now, I'm going to give Giannis the nod. But I'm going to tell you, if Embiid continues to develop the way he's developing, and if he can stay on the court, it is possible that Embiid can pass Giannis. I'm going to tell you right now, I think it can happen. He just has to stay on the court and continue to do what he's doing.
Yeah, I think we need to see. I like Joel's defense, but obviously Giannis has multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards, and that's an award in itself. That's an accolade that Joel Embiid can't even sniff right now because, to have more than one of them. LeBron James doesn't even have a single one of them. So you have to look at it and understand that, he's doing his thing right now. So I'm really excited about it.
All right, we're going to segue over to the best and worst ran teams in any sport. And I'm going to tell you right now, Mike, this is just me, man. But for the worst one, it's easier to say the best team than it is the worst team. And the reason why I say that is because I got a tie for the worst ran teams. And my worst ran teams are the Jets, the Detroit Lions, because, oh, my God, both of these organizations are horrible from the top almost all the way down and the way that they're run. And that's why they are where they are.
Right.
And I got to put the 76ers in there to a certain point because how many lottery number one picks has the 76ers gone through?
A lot.
And how many of them had they retained?
I think like two of them are. I don't know. I
one.
Just think of Joel, really.
One.
Yeah.
You had Nerlens Noel. I don't even remember who the other guy was. But I know Embiid is. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. And Embiid is the only one that they've actually retained. So I don't know if it's. And look, let's be honest. If you look at the way they've drafted, and you look at the way Daryl Morey has his team going, because let's be honest, you just gave up 2 picks,
right?
And you gave up Simmons, and you gave up Seth Curry, and you gave up Drummond for what? Paul Millsap and freaking James Harden. Now listen to me. Morey was sitting there trying. This is how bad the Sixers are. Morey was trying to get picks for Ben Simmons. So he turned, which I think the best trade they ever got was the one coming out of Sacramento that they turned down.
Yeah,
I think that was a better trade than what they got for James Harden. And let's be honest. And let's be honest.
Buddy and who was it? It was
Buddy Hield, Halliburton. There was 2 other ones in there,
right?
But yeah, and I think there was 1 or 2 picks involved as well.
Yeah,
he just wasn't getting the 3 picks that he was looking for.
Yeah, I would have done that. And I love Halliburton. Halliburton's a dog.
I get it, but listen to how crazy this is. He was trying to get picks for Simmons, and he winds up giving up picks for Harden. Right. That's a 180-degree flip. Now, he says, quote unquote, or it's been stipulated, quote unquote, that the reason why he gave up the picks is because James Harden is his boy. And James Harden is his boy because he's the one that brought Harden in from OKC to Houston.
Right.
So he's a big James Harden guy. And if you remember, when they got rid of Harden, they also got rid of Morey the same, or Morey quit. Morey quit when they lost Harden. So
right. I think though, at the end of the day, you know, I look at it as the picks aren't worth anything if you can get a generational talent. And as much shit as I give James Harden, he is a generational talent when he is healthy. So it's definitely worth it in the long run.
Do you believe that James Harden's wearing a bodysuit and that's why he looks bloated? That's what the rumors are. Of course, I don't believe it.
I've questioned.
The boy's bloated. That's what I'm saying, Mike. The boy's
I don't know if I'd go out there stamping that it's a fact, but I've questioned it myself.
Let me tell you something, Mike. Let me put it in perspective. James Harden looked just like 50 Cent at the halftime show, if that makes sense.
75 cents to me, but.
Hey, they said, hey, we don't got 50 cents. We got $1.25.
I swear to God.
He said you can order off the dollar menu.
Hey, he eating good. He eating better than me, so I ain't gonna hate on him.
But yeah, hey, my best run team though is the Patriots. I don't know how you overlook the Patriots. You know, you can say Tampa Bay Lightning like you see in the picture, but man, those Patriots, oh my God. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, Robert Kraft is the kind of owner I wish the Cowboys had. He is hands off. He lets his GM run this show. The GM picks Bill. I mean, come on. It's beautiful the way Kraft has done this and the way the Patriots have done this. And I don't know if there's a better run franchise. You could call the Lakers, but look what the Lakers did. They gave GM all the credit in the world for drafting this team, and look where this team is sitting at now. They got no picks. They're not going to. They'll make the playoffs, but they may not make it out of the play-in. So I can't give it to the Lakers right now. I got to give it. I mean, you can even go maybe Steinbrenner, but look at all the money that the Yankees have spent over $107 million a season, and what do they got to show for it? I tell you what, they got this. They got this. This is what they got to show for all them hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
But I got to give it to the Patriots. I think the Patriots are the best run organization. Mike, who's your best run?
My best run is the Los Angeles Lakers for me. And as crazy as that sounds, because you know I've been very critical of them all year. Shout out to Freddie. But it comes down to it though. To me, it's more of if you take away this season, Jay, and you look at the mishaps that happened with it. Obviously, though, if you look at it, if they end up trading LeBron James, they're going to get picks. If they end up trading AD, they'll get the picks back. If they end up trading Russ somehow, probably not going to get nothing. But you can probably get good picks back for those guys if you had to blow it up. But when you look throughout the history, whether it was Kareem, Magic, Jerry West, Kobe, Shaq, now LeBron and AD who are champions, it's the standard that they set and what they believe in, going out there and not accepting too much, struggle before they get back to the top. That's truly why I look at them. Now, Boston was in the conversation for me as well. The problem with Boston, though, in my eyes, is truly that I feel like they're comfortable with losing now. They're really not going out of their way to get somebody. They go after the Kyries, the Kembas, the Dennis Schroeders. Like that's not winning to me. But to me, Jay, because I do not want to give the Lakers their flowers, I'll say this. I think the Miami Heat are definitely a very, very well-ran organization. You have Pat Riley running the show. You have Eric Spoelstra, one of the greatest coaches of all time, at least in my opinion. They're a hard-nosed team, and they truly stick to that kind of culture, whether it was with D-Wade, Jimmy Butler, LeBron, Bosh, Allen, all those guys, even Shaq. They do not accept anything but hard work. And that's where I personally, if I had to give you a basic answer, Jay, I'd say the Lakers. But a personal team that I'm really in love with that isn't my Chicago Bulls, because they shit on me for about 21 years, so I'm not going to give them their flowers at all, and they got lucky Derrick Rose landed in their lap. I would say the Miami Heat. And for the worst ran team, I'm going to say the New Orleans Pelicans. They're a joke of a franchise.
Yeah.
They
are, man. They are. You're right.
It's bad. You had, first of all, what you did with Anthony Davis was a whole shit show, and that was a horrible thing. And now you look at it, and let's put in perspective what they had, Jay. You had JJ Redick, who's a top 10 3-point shooter of all time. You have Zion Williamson, the numerous first-round pick, number 1 overall pick. I personally had Ja Morant, but that's a conversation for a different day. You had Brandon Ingram, you had Lonzo Ball, you had all these guys on this team that could get things going for you. and you did nothing with it. And now Zion don't want to be there. And now Holiday left. And now CJ McCollum's here. And he's got beef with Zion, and Zion's got beef with him. And it's like the whole thing. I have no idea. Even JJ Redick's going out there saying he don't know what the hell is going on. So I would say the New Orleans Pelicans are the worst ran organization in the entire league.
Oh, I agree. And I must say real quick before we go on to the next topic, the thing with the Lakers with me is they were a very good run team, but I just feel like this year they've gone off the rails.
And
I think
Jay,
Pelinka, I think when Pelinka ran off the rails is when he gave LeBron all the control to draft his team. And that's where Pelinka.
I was going to ask you is like, I really can't blame them, though, is because that's the history that LeBron's created. LeBron always ends up taking over. I don't see that as the Lakers. I see that as LeBron effed up.
And that's what I'm saying. And sometimes I think Pelinka has to say, look, LeBron, I know you want this, but damn, come on, guy. Listen, your wheelhouse is making your teammates good and playing good ball. That's your wheelhouse. And you're a good businessman. My wheelhouse is putting talent around you that can help you. And listen, Kobe Bryant didn't do this. And Kobe Bryant, in my opinion, is one of the greatest Lakers of all time. Yeah. And of course, you put him against Kareem, and I get that. And we'll talk more about him in a minute. But I'm just saying, look, Kobe didn't do this. And Kobe gave all to the Lakers. Bron, you got to give all to the Lakers, too. You can't have everything your way. You got to let us put the talent around you. And then you go and you make that talent work and you win championships. That's how you did with AD, number one. And you had Caruso, Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and so forth. Rondo, you name it. And y'all guys won. And you probably would have won last year had you and AD not had hamstring issues.
Right.
So if you come back this year with that same lineup and you and AD are healthy, guess what? You're probably going to win a championship.
Right, for sure.
Because you already got the pedigree for it. You've already won a championship with those guys. You just got to stay healthy. Now, I can't do nothing about your health. There's nobody I can bring in here that's going to help you with your health.
Right.
But with the team you've constructed or reconstructed and you've worked with, you won a championship. You can do it again, but you got to stay healthy. I can't help you with that.
Right, without a doubt. And when you have the situations to where it's like, you look at Pelinka and what he did, okay, I got you Buddy Hield and a bunch of other guys. And Bron said, nah, I want Russ. And it's like, come on, bro. Like we had a great trade right here for you, and you said no to it, and you told me to trust your word that you could change Russ, and then you end up not, and now it's a whole thing to where everybody hates Russ, and it's anti-Russ, and it's anti-LeBron, and anti-Lakers, and it's like you created this beast, but a part of that is on Pelinka because you as the head need to say, nah, I don't want Westbrook. We're going with Buddy. And whoever else is coming with Buddy.
I mean, and let's face it, Mike. Jordan didn't pick his team. Right. The GM picked his team, and Phil Jackson made it work, and so did Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Kobe didn't pick his team. The GM picked his team, and he put it together and he made it work. These are the greats,
right? I think there was one time that Kobe picked his team, and that was when he tried to get CP3, and then the NBA was like, nah.
And you know what? And I hate that because CP3 CP3 with Kobe Bryant. Are you kidding me? That is that's a nightmare. That's like Shaq and Kobe years. Because let me tell you something. You got a point guard and a shooting guard and Kobe.
The point guard,
hell, man.
Bryant, Mamba. I mean, it would have been dope,
bro. That would have been, and I think maybe that's why the league said
it's without a doubt why they said no. It's without a doubt why they said no.
They said no. That's too much of a power struggle. No, we're not doing it. But I think they should have.
They weren't going.
But I will say this: the reason why I said the Pats are the best run team is they know to let the GM make the moves. And let me tell you something. Think about it for a second now.
Right.
You got Bill Belichick picking out his players. They didn't even trade up. Mac Jones fell into their laps.
That's my
problem. Number 16. At number 16.
Jay, my problem with that is more times than not, Belichick does not hit on his draft picks. And that's where I think they do need to bring in somebody better than Belichick, who's the talent evaluator, because more times than not, he's not hitting on these picks. That's why they spend over $500 million in free agency and all this other stuff. Like, you spend $500 million on the entire team. Where's your draft picks? Like, isn't that what the picks are for? You're spending $500 million. Like,
hey, I'm gonna succeed this round to you, man. There's no way I can compete with you. So I'm gonna let you have this one, and I'm gonna bow out graciously. And please let me do so, Mike. I'm old and I'm brittle. Let me bow out graciously, please.
Oh, stop.
Mike, are you a wrestling guy?
I'm not that much, but I will hear you out on whatever you have to say.
And we won't spend long here, but the guys, look, for some reason, I'm not a wrestling guy either. I got forced into wrestling by Logan and Frankie, and they, for whatever reason, want me to be a wrestling guy. So I told them that I would do my very best and put topics in there leading up to WrestleMania. So Bobby Lashley, and we'll be brief on this. Yeah. Bobby Lashley is out 4 months with a shoulder injury. Will miss WrestleMania. If you saw Seth Rollins put, and I think it was Austin Theory. Yeah, he put Austin Theory through the plexiglass, hits Bobby Lashley. It puts Bobby Lashley into the metal turnbuckle or whatever that metal beam is behind him in the pod. He got knocked out, Mike. That was not planned. That really happened, and he really took it.
I did see that. I think Nate posted it, and I seen it. That was crazy.
Bro, that dude was not cold. Like, he was out for the count, right?
Yeah.
So now they got him out with a shoulder injury. And he said he had shoulder injury even before he went into WrestleMania. Right. So I don't know how the whole shoulder thing plays, because he had the injury going into the Elimination Chamber, but now the same shoulder injury won't let him go to WrestleMania. You can say concussion protocol, and I would believe that, but I don't know. Either way, Bobby Lashley, here's the deal. So Brock Lesnar got the crown. They got the WWE heavyweight belt out of the Elimination Chamber by default, basically. But man, if you brought Brock Lesnar just tortured the rest of the crowd like they were like paper dolls. Like, it wasn't even competition for him. So now you're going to have Brock Lesnar go up against Roman Reigns and they're going to unify both belts. So, and it's a sad thing, because I would have loved to see a Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar showdown. But unfortunately, folks, we are not going to get that. Mike, any questions, comments, concerns before we go to the next topic on this Bobby Lashley?
I've had shoulder injuries from lacrosse, and it carried on throughout all 4 years of my high school career, whether it be football, baseball, lacrosse, whatever. The craziest thing about a shoulder injury is you can have one. I played all 4 years with it. I played all 4 years, and don't be fooled. Like, I felt it every single game, and you can go about it that way. I had a bicep contusion in the left arm. I had a labrum problem in the left arm. I had a shoulder issue. Whatever the hell, the shoulder blade in the back of you, I had those issues. I was just hitting too many people, Jay. I guess that's what it comes down to. But it comes down to it, though, to where, you might not see it happen on stage. Like, I realized I needed physical therapy when I was at the gym. I was lifting something, and that's when it fully went numb. And I was like, okay, I got to go. So he might have been looking at the picture of him. He might have been lifting and finally said, this, I can't go. Like, I can't feel this. I can't do my daily activities. I was at a point personally where 15-year-old Mike Hughes was in class. All I wanted to do was go to the bathroom, but I couldn't even raise my hand all the way up. It comes down to it. It can last a long time before you actually need it. So 4 months, to me, I think that's a reasonable amount of time for physical therapy and such.
And that's and hopefully that's if they don't have to do surgery, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the extent of his injury. I didn't have surgery. Luckily I got to repair it on my own. Jay, you know how it goes. They give you the big orange rubber band. You do your.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. I've been to physical. I hate physical.
It's a place where athletes go to die, is what I call it. It's everyone there is sad. It's like a retirement home for athletes. It's just the worst.
So apparently we've gone through all the topics. Oh, here we go. This is the one that I missed. Hey, this is the last topic for tonight, and then we're going to call it a night. Real quick, top 10 in the 75. This was a huge, or it has been a huge debate, and pretty much every show that involves Freddie Henderson and Pride. Pride's a LeBron guy. Freddie used to be a LeBron guy. I know that because I've defended Michael Jordan against Freddie before, and now Freddie is a non-LeBron guy. And now he's a Michael Jordan / Kobe guy.
Last week he was a LeBron guy again, so I don't know.
I don't know. The man, if the wind blows west, Freddie goes west. If the wind blows east, Freddie goes east. Okay, it just depends on which way the wind blows, and that's going to carry Freddie. And I love Freddie. Freddie, if you hear me, please don't fire me. I'm just speaking the truth. I'm keeping it real. But the top 10 that ESPN came out with, and I tend to agree with it if you look at the numbers. You got MJ number one. I'm not going to go into MJ because everybody knows MJ. Okay, MJ is just MJ. You got LeBron at number two at 27 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Of course, he's got a few titles thrown in there. They got LeBron at number 2. I'm not going to fight LeBron at number 2. Yeah. I think I might be able to make LeBron at number 3 because I think you can make a good fight for Kareem going into number 3.
Could make the argument.
You can make the argument because if you look at Kareem's numbers, it's 24, 11, and 3. He's got 6 titles. He's got 2 finals MVPs, right. 6 regular season MVPs, 15 all NBAs. I mean, with Kareem, it just goes on. And of course, you can't forget, he's the one that came up with the skyhook.
Right.
So I can see where Kareem, you can make an argument for Kareem and LeBron. Me personally, if I was doing this, I would put MJ, Kareem, then LeBron. What do you think?
I've heard. Well, if we're just doing top 3, I've heard a lot of people. My guys, I know my guy Nico out in Chicago. He truly believes that Wilt is the greatest of all time.
And you can make that argument too.
I think it's really, to be completely honest, the only people that think Wilt is the greatest are the stat guys who actually take the time to look at what Wilt did and perfect his craft. Because a lot of people, just because of time and time passing and not having that history upon us and not watching film, we don't know these guys. We just know their names. And a lot of people couldn't even tell you what number Wilt Chamberlain wore. Or even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I think, you really look at it, guys like that, guys like Bill Russell, I think Jerry West, so on and so forth, they get forgotten, and it's very unfortunate, which is why I love cameras and technology now, because I try to watch Wilt Chamberlain highlights, but it's like, it's so blurred and such horrible picture. I'm not sitting through 30 minits of that. So
I get it.
Yeah, I try my best, but I agree with.
That's what they had, Mike. We didn't have all the fancy 5Gs and all this crazy.
I'm not gonna, after you get the luxury of getting what we have now, I could see the pimple on Cole Anthony's face from a mile away with these new TVs and these new HDs. But I could see the sweat coming out of the Timbs. But it comes on to it though, to where I think it's a good list. But
Mike, But Mike, let's be honest. If you look at Wilt Chamberlain, Wilt did do some pretty damn impressive stuff.
Yeah, without a doubt.
The man averaged, his career. When I give you numbers, I'm giving you the career number. Mm-hmm. The man's career numbers was 30 points, 22 rebounds, and 4 assists. Plus, he had obviously his 100-point game.
Right.
And he played in the era where it was okay to beat the hell out of somebody. Right. And do you know how hard it was probably to get 22 rebounds when you're beating the hell out of somebody? It's probably pretty freaking hard. It's hard.
But I've also heard the argument that it's easy when you're 7 feet tall going up against guys.
That's true now, Mike. That's true. But Mike, what you remember now, Yao Ming was 7'7".
Without a doubt.
And you know how many injuries he had?
Right.
Arms, legs. With a 7 foot frame, Mike, the 7 foot frame, and you got to remember, they're not all that bulky. They're kind of slender.
Right.
Hey, listen,
it's easy to take out some points in the world. I give them their flowers where it's due. Guys like Yao, Bobo, Mo Bamba, you know what I mean?
But Mike, let's look at this real quick. The list goes on, right? You got Bill Russell at 15 points, 22 rebounds, 4 assists.
He's at 4?
He had 4 assists. 22 rebounds, 15 points, second in rebounding, only behind Wilt, to be honest with you. So Russell was right behind Wilt in rebounding. But then you have Magic Johnson at 19.5, 7 points, 11 assists, and he was also got his championship title as a rookie, and he was a contributing factor in that title run. So, and I'm going to get to that. We'll talk about Bird and Curry in a second. Let me get through this list for a second. Then you got Tim Duncan, who had 19, 20 rebounds and 3 with 2.2 blocks and 5 titles. And let me tell you something about Tim Duncan. This is the most impressive part about Tim. If you know about Tim, you know that he was an integral part of the San Antonio Spurs. And he made a record. He made the playoffs every single season. Every season in 18 years. That's 18 post seasons by Tim Duncan. 18. He had a winning record every single year. Now, that's not even including the titles that he has. He's got 5 titles. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you look past that number? It's crazy. You got Bird. Bird was at 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. And then you got Oscar Robinson, 25 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. Big O had a triple-double 61 to 1962 season. He had a triple-double every single game.
I know
every game. He averaged a triple-double. The man averaged a triple-double. They crowned the term triple-double when Oscar Robinson was in the league. That's what triple-double came about. Mm-hmm. So my point is this. You know, you can obviously talk about how many rings Bill Russell had. But you look at Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant came in at number 10 with 25 points, 5 assists, or 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 titles. His highest career number was 81 points in a game, and 60 points was his going out game. So my question is this, Mike. I get the Mamba mentality. I do, man. I get the work ethic. I do. I get the emotional love for Kobe Bryant. I do. But my problem with this and them wanting to move Kobe up the list is no matter how much those things mean, and they mean a lot, I still can't put, when the numbers don't support it, I can't put him up higher in the list. I just can't. I can't. I want to, Mike. I want to, but I can't. And here's the problem I have, Mike. Here's the problem I have. The thing about time is this, right? Here's the thing about time. Time is a very nasty thing. And I get it. You could put AI in this list. I mean, at some level. I don't know, man. I mean, AI is good. I don't think I put him in the top 10. I think he's going to be – I put him maybe in the top 15. I put him in the top 15.
I think he was 15. I don't quote me on
that. I would put AI in the top 15. But here's the deal about time, Mike. And after I say this, I want you to say whatever you want to do about the list I just told you. And I went through every single person 1 through 10 on this list, and I gave you pretty much the majority of the stats for time reasons. I want to get your opinion on this. But here's the last thing I want to leave you with before you go. The thing about time is this: you're only relevant in the generation that you're in.
Right.
For example, Michael Jordan. The kids of this generation of the LeBron, I call it the LeBron generation, is they don't remember what all Jordan did in terms of what he could do with the ball. This man can fake you 3 different ways, come back to the 4th option, and still score on you and make you look stupid, like really stupid. I really think that if he played against LeBron, he would probably break LeBron's ankles in half. That's how good Jordan was. But the stat line doesn't give you that. Right. The stat line doesn't show you that. And you can make the same case for Kobe Bryant, by the way. The stat line doesn't show all of what Kobe's moves did and how he did the moves.
Right.
So the stat line doesn't give you that either. And you can make that case, and I would probably believe that.
Right.
But the thing about time is you're only as good as the time that you're in, because as time fades away, it doesn't matter how good Wilt Chamberlain was. It doesn't matter how good Bill Russell was. It doesn't matter how good Larry Bird could shoot the 3-point. And let me tell you something, Bird is better than Curry, because Bird could do so much more than what Curry did. Bird had the 3-point shot when he needed it. It's just in his time, in his era, the 3-point shot wasn't coached then. It wasn't coached like it was today. Could you imagine if Larry Bird was in today's NBA and he said, "Hey, Larry, you go out there and you shoot as many damn 3-pointers as you can." I guarantee you, probably Seth Curry is not beating Larry Bird's record. I'm just gonna put that out there. But we look at his rebounding, his assists, and what he meant to that team. It's far more impressive than what Curry. I'm telling you, and Curry's a good guy. I ain't got nothing against Curry, but I'm telling you, Bird was a very legitimate guy. That's why he's in the top 10. Yeah. But the thing about time is, I'm gonna leave it at this. Time, you're only as good as time allows you to be, because nobody remembers 10 years from now. I will say it like this, and this is where I'm gonna leave it at. This is the last sentence I give you, Mike, and then I want to hear what you say. When it comes to LeBron James, and right now everybody's clamoring, like if you listen to Pride and everybody, they're clamoring, he's the GOAT, he's this, and this. And by the way, I got mad love and respect for LeBron James. In case anybody knows, what this man has done for education is bar none, far and superior to what anybody else has ever done for these inner city kids. And my hat is off to him. And my wife's a teacher, and she'll tell you how great LeBron is because what he does for education. But if we're just keeping it to strictly basketball, in 15 years from now, there's going to be somebody else crop up. And they're going to be just like Bron, or just like MJ, or just like Kobe Bryant, whatever, whoever you want to compare him to. And we're going to be saying, "Oh, no, LeBron," and you'll hear Pride, or you'll hear Freddie if he remembers that he was actually a LeBron fan. "No, LeBron James was better. You don't understand this. And this kid is going to tell you, no, he's not. You're ridiculous, because look at this kid. He's this, and this.
Right.
The only relevancy is that person in that time, in that era.
Right.
Mike, what you got, baby? Top 10. Kobe's at number 10. How do you feel about Kobe being at 10?
One, Curry's doing circles around Larry Bird any day, and I'm a Larry Bird guy. I love Larry Bird, but Curry to me is doing circles around him from half court, all this other stuff. And people can say, here's where I leave it. I'll leave it at this. People say, oh, well, Larry didn't take as many shots. All right, cool. But Curry may take more shots, but he makes those shots, and that's the difference. I don't know how many of those shots Larry's going to make if we ask him to do that 15 times a night. And I'm looking at it from that perspective, and I love what Curry's doing. Curry's not hitting three-point shots. Curry's hitting half-court shots. Curry's doing his thing. Curry is one of the greatest to ever do it. Curry don't even look when he shoots. He just does it. It's automatic. He's like a gun. The guy, no matter which way you point it, it's firing at 1,000,000 miles a second. So I'll give Curry that. I love Curry so much. But it comes down to it like this. Kobe's top 5 to me. And I was born in 2000, so Kobe's always going to be my guy who got me into basketball. Derrick Rose, Kobe Bryant, they'll always be those guys. Dirk, all those. LeBron, obviously, D. Wade, the list goes on. But it comes down to it to me to where, like you said, it's how long you're remembered. And you got guys, every time a kid rolls up a piece of paper and throws it into the trash, whether you're a kid, a grown man, an adult, an older person, or a teenager, everybody yells Kobe. Everybody's always going to remember Kobe. And I have Kobe at 5. I'm not too biased about it. I have Michael, LeBron, Wilt, Magic. Then I have Kobe. I don't think Kobe's better than Magic. I do think what Magic did was amazing, and it gets forgotten because of time. And it's quickly forgotten, I feel like. But it's something to me where Larry Bird ain't better than no Kobe Bryant. And that's just the reality of the situation. Oscar isn't better than Kobe Bryant. All these other individuals to me aren't better than Kobe Bryant. I understand, Kobe, missed a lot of shots, but, having the balls to take those shots is a part of the game, and that's what it is. I base it off of legacy and how you're going to be remembered as a top 5 player, and I definitely do think that he belongs on that list. And honestly, Jay, being real with you, I was surprised, and it may be my bias, I was surprised Curry's not in the top 10. I truly was. And I say that because what he turned the game into is the same reason that Oscar is in there with the triple doubles. He is the triple double guy. Now it's Russell Westbrook, and it's a conversation for a different day where Russ stands in the top 75. But Curry to me belongs in the top 10 before Larry Bird belongs in the top 10. You had a 73-9 team. You had 3 championships, 4 championships, if I'm not mistaken. You're on your way potentially to your 4th or 5th. You're still doing your thing. You're the greatest shooter of all time. You have the stats to back it up. I don't know how he's not at 10. So to me, Kobe's top 5, Curry's at 10, and that's just where I leave it.
Let me ask you a question, and like I said, and I said this to you earlier, when it comes to Kobe Bryant, what he does on the court that's not necessarily measured in the stats, right? And that's why I said it's easy to make a case for Kobe to be probably in the top 5. I mean, I get that, I get it, yeah. And like I said, it really comes down to generational people, what generation you're in terms of what you've seen and what you think. Because let's be honest, nobody's really ever seen Wilt. I didn't see. I think Wilt Chamberlain died in 1977. I was probably 5 years old when Wilt died, so I couldn't tell you one thing about Wilt because I was too young to even remember at 5 years old. Right. But I would say, and I think if you would have been born in the Wilt Chamberlain era and you actually saw Wilt Chamberlain play, and you saw how physical it was, and this, that, and the other, your opinion of what he did might be a little bit different. I'm just saying, in my opinion, it might be different. I don't know. And that's why I said time is a very mean thing to people's legacies. Right. No, for sure. Because legacies die off after a while. It's a natural part of life. It just is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But here's my thing about Larry, and I'm going to leave it at this. Here's my thing about Larry. And this is what I'm trying to get at. People understand this. Everyone wants to talk about, well, Kirby was a master at the 3. He was this, that, and the other. But I would be curious to know. And see, here's the deal. In this generation, everybody's shooting 3s. Curry has the free reign to shoot as many 3s as he possibly wants. Mm. But in Larry Bird's time, in the generation that he played in, the 3 wasn't looked like that. It wasn't coached like that. People didn't. It just wasn't played like that. And that was more. And that's what I'm saying. It's almost unfair to compare. And we're just talking about the 3-point the 3-point. It's unfair to put Bird up against Curry because they played in 2 different eras and the shots were looked at 2 different ways. But both of them, so you almost, if you really want to break it down between Bird and you want to break it down to Curry, and this is your homework assignment for tonight, folks. Oh, yeah, you're coming on the script and not getting a homework assignment. If you want to get a homework assignment,
hold on, Jay.
No, it's not really a homework assignment. Calm down. I'm just kidding.
I need to tell John.
Oh, okay, my bad.
KD wasn't on that team when they won 73 games. He wasn't on that team.
Hey, listen. If you want to break it down, if you want to know who truly is the best at the three-point shooting part, go look at the career of Larry Bird and look at his field goal percentage at the three. And then look at Steph Curry and his field goal percentage at the three. And that really is your true barometer of who is better at the three. I mean, you can't lie. Field goal percentages don't lie. Right, they don't lie.
I think you hit it on the head like that, though. Here's where I'm coming from with it. I know if Steph Curry has to take 5 threes a game, he's going to hit all 5. Now, I know if he has to take 15 to 20 a game, he's probably going to hit 12 to 15 of them out of 20.
And I get what you're saying. I got that.
I don't know if Larry can do that. I truly don't know if he can.
And that's true. And that's okay. I like your point, Mike. And that's true. What you're saying is true. And okay, so again, I like that, Mike. That's a very, very good point. And that's why you're on this show. But I like that because it's true. You don't know. And we're never going to know because Larry Bird is too damn old to go out there on the freaking court and shoot a 3-ball now. And Curry is too young to care.
Right.
So, I will say this, and this is the last thing I'm going to leave you with. Larry Bird shot 24, 10, and 6. That's his stat line. Mm. Curry is 25, 5, and 6. So you can say, okay, Curry is edging, Curry is edging Larry Bird by 1 point. 25 versus 24 career average. But Bird is averaging 5 more rebounds than Curry.
Yeah, like I would say.
Hold on. What I'm saying is, but they both tie at assists at 6. Mm. So I mean, to say that one guy's better than another guy, it's almost impossible to do. You can make the case. You can make the case that Kobe Bryant is better than Larry Bird, and I will agree with you. And you won't hear an argument out of me at all. You won't take. I'm serious. You will not hear an argument out at all. But when we talk about Seth Curry and Larry Bird, and I get it. See, here's the deal, Mike. Like I said, you're in the Steph Curry generation. I'm from the Larry Bird generation, and there's 2 different generational styles of play. It just is.
Right, and that's
if we look at the numbers. But if we look at the numbers, you're getting 1 more point than my guy, but I'm getting 5 more rebounds than your guy.
Right.
So who's more? I'm just saying, it's like, you know what I'm saying. You have to look at the all-around game of the player. But then Mike can say, well, you know what, Jay? Curry could penetrate the basket better than Bird. And I would probably say, I don't know. I think Bird
I don't think he can. And that's where I come with it. I think Larry Bird's a better all-around player than Steph Curry, without a doubt. I think defensively, he's not as much of a liability. I think he's better from the rim. I think he can do more things from the mid-range. By far more things by the mid-range. But I will say, from a 3-point perspective, if we're just talking about shooting threes, I think Steph Curry, he walks them like a dog every single day. Like, I think that's just how it is. But from an all-around game, that's why I say I like Larry. I love Larry Bird. He'll take you to school.
Wait, hold on, Mike. I want you to look at this point, and this is what I want you to comment on now. John Suggs makes a good point. So your guy got 1 more point than my guy, right, but my guy shot the ball less than your guy.
Right. And I think that's where I'm coming from, is where, from that perspective, it's Larry did more. Larry was a mid-range guy. Larry was dunking. Larry was doing all these different things, whereas Steph, he mid-ranges here and there, but his big thing is threes or half-court shots, and that's where it comes from. So that's why I say, I do think as a 3-point shooter, he's 10 times better than Larry Bird. But the perspective of it is still the same, to where I think Larry Bird all around is better because he's putting up shots by not only just doing it with threes. He's not doing that often. He has a different set of skills and a different set of abilities to be able to score 25 points per game. 24.
You know what's interesting to me, Mike? This is this whole conversation in terms of this topic. This is what's most interesting to me. ESPN puts out this ranking system of 1 through 75.
It's bad.
But here's the deal. Everybody's list is never going to be the same. Nobody's list is ever going to be the same. And you know why nobody's list is ever going to be the same? And it goes back to my original point. Time.
Yeah. Like I was one of those
everybody
guys, scream it. Yeah. I don't think Damian Lillard belongs on there, and I'm a Damian Lillard guy. I've met Dame personally. Dame's my guy. But dude, come on, zero.
But you don't understand, hey Mike, do you understand what I'm saying? When I say time, that's why this list is so hard to predict.
Right.
Is because the game is different from old school to middle school to the earliest of schools, which is where LeBron is in. The game is transcended in so many different ways that it makes it very hard to really truly be able to evaluate this list and get it 100% accurate, in my opinion, because there's so many different ways. Because of the generational gaps, it's so different that it's so hard to really truly compare these guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And that's where I'm coming from with it, is like with the Dame. You have 0 Western Conference championships. You have 0 conference championships ever. You have 0 finals appearances. You've had the rookie of the year, 0 MVPs, and you're on the top 75 list. You've never won, the conference. You've never won a certain X amount of games. You've never really done anything. Klay Thompson, to me, belongs on that list. Other guys from the past belong on that list. There's a lot of guys that I think got snubbed because of time and because of just, who's hot right now and who's relevant. And, Klay Thompson even got lost because of time. And it's only been a couple years. He didn't play in 2 years. So they'd rather have Damian Lillard on there because at least he's more relevant. So I truly do think, at the end of the day, it needs to be a better list. And, I think everybody's is always going to be different.
And John Suggs, you're right. It's a massive difference in how the game is played from the 60s and 80s to 2000 to 2000. I mean, it's just different, man.
Right.
And obviously the 80s to 2000s, you had different generational guys. I mean, it's hard to compare.
Yeah.
But I will say this. Hey, it's been great talking with you guys. Mike, hey, thank you for coming on, brother. You saved my butt. You saved this show. I appreciate you. And words cannot express how much I love your butt.
I love you too, Jay McLovin.
You got anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, obviously a lot of people haven't been seeing me on ASAP as much lately. I'm still behind the scenes. I'm still doing my thing. I love you guys. I'll always be, representing ASAP and always being a fan of everything they're doing. But you can find me at 1252 Sports Entertainment. They do a lot of things Chicago. They do amazing things, and I love every single thing they're doing over there. It's a great organization that I'm with. I'm with guys at ESPN Chicago, 670 The Score, a bunch of guys that I'm really in love with what they're doing over there. So if you haven't given them a follow, I have a show every Saturday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm trying to get this right, Jay. I think it's 5 Pacific. If I'm right, don't quote me.
It's 3 hours there. So wait, what? So what time is it Central?
I think right now for me it's 7:37.
Right. So and what are you trying to figure out?
I think Pacific is 2 hours behind me.
Yes, because Pacific is 3 hours behind me, and I'm in Eastern.
So
I'm on the East Coast.
I think
you're right. You're 2 hours. You're right on the head, brother.
You can find my show then Saturday, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, and 8 Eastern. You can find Mike on the Mic. You can find Mike on the Mic podcast. Always do that. Apple, Spotify, wherever you may find it. Definitely check it out. I'm killing it over there at 1252, and I love the guys over there, and I'm always shouting out guys like Jay McLovin and everybody at ASAP. So I got nothing but love for all you guys.
And I appreciate you, brother. You have no idea how much I really do appreciate you and the ASAP family and what they do for us. And hopefully we give something back to those guys that's equally as important. Real quick, before we get out of here, hey, listen, I want to talk about something real fast. I'm going to make this very brief, but it's something that's on my heart because I've been there. Mm-hmm. As you know, today, the Russians invaded Ukraine. And if you don't know how significant it is, you're probably going to say, well, my gas prices are up to $5 a gallon, this, that, and the other. And look, let me tell you something. That's small potatoes. It's really small potatoes. So let me tell you something. I've been in Poland, and I've seen the Russians at the border before. This is not the first time the Russians have ever been on the border. They've been on the border quite a few times. And when I was stationed in Poland, we were on the border and looking at the Russians right across the field, maybe 100 yards or less, in a tent at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's cold. Mike, it's balls cold. It's so cold that your bones hurt, and it's raining, and you're sleeping in a tent that barely can fit one person, and it leaks, and water's coming in your tent. And if you're out there and you know the battle scars, you know how hard it is to deal in that environment, and it's a very hilly environment. It's a very rough terrain, and those guys that are out there doing it, protecting this country, doing what's right, hey, y'all guys keep them in your heart. Keep them in your heart, because I'm telling you, you don't know how hard life is until you're sitting in Poland at 2 o'clock in the morning waiting to see what the Russians do. And it's about 15 degrees outside, and it's raining massively hard, and water's coming in your tent, and you gotta be ready to go on the fly. It's hard. It's a hard life, and there's only so many people that can actually do that life. And our guys that are over there fighting tooth and nail, wearing the uniform with pride, keep them in your hearts, keep them close, because they need it. And to that, I'm not gonna get off the somber note, but with that, just keep them in your heart. America is the best country in the world. No matter what our differences are, no matter how crazy life is, you can say what you want, you can do what you want, and nobody's going to persecute you. Unless maybe they do it on social media, whatever it is, what it is.
Maybe.
But all right, man. Hey, Mike, again, thanks for coming on.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
This has been Unscripted. We love you. We praise you, man. And we will see you guys on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Y'all be good. As Jay McLovin, and I'm out of here. If I can find the right theme music, Mike Logan.
That's okay. We'll
Bam! I found it. We're good. We're so good.
Whole sports all plays.
No, we're not.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports all plays.